old conversation, that's honky talk. Come on, this is honky talk. Say what's on your mind. Truth and laughs, all unscripted, unrefined.
After wrapping up Planned Parenthood, let's look at what's perceived to be probably the best 2 decades in regards to growth of the Black American family. That is the 40s through the 60s, which is driven a lot off of the industrialization and World War. World War II created many new jobs. And by that, it means, fuck factories. They just need workers. And the unfortunate, again, reality is workers is a laborious position. And still up to this point, the majority of Black Americans were more laborers than quote-unquote white-collar positions. However, it did create opportunity to start the foundation of the Black American family, and 3 to 4 million Black Americans moved north and west. Just as we talked about the migration north, we had 3 or 4 more million expand north and west away from the South. What that meant is more Black families entered industrial jobs with steady wages, and marriage rates actually during that process outpaced any other race. More importantly, outpaced the white race. And you hear where during these periods of times that the fundamental foundational family, that being Black American foundational family, was very structured. Then the father, by definition, was at home, had employment. The mother, I'm not quite sure what stats say in regards to whether she was a homekeeper and or employed. Probably back then, she probably stayed at the home with the children. But marriage rates definitely outpaced that of its counterpart white population. But the Black middle class during this population began to grow. You had more teachers, postal workers, nurses, clergy. Those are 4 careers that are specifically identified for this period. But the cool thing about this shit is, with steady employment comes the American dream, right? Comes home ownership. So the 40s to the 60s, home ownership elevated extensively in regards to the volume of people. But with that, even in today's world, there are discriminatory practices, right? So although Black families were allowed to purchase more homes and they had the income and credit and stability and structure to create more homes, there was some discrimination, something they called redlining. So you had white, by definition, white neighborhoods, and redlining practices, which was an undercover bullshit practice, by the way, kept some Black families out of the white neighborhoods. And even banks, which is fucking foolish to me, would deny Black families loans for such ownership, which is kind of nutty, because at the end of the day, I do believe that the only color that really matters in this society, in capitalist society, is green. Why would you turn away a color of someone's skin, or turn away a potential opportunity to make money due to the color of skin? That's just fucking ignorant and stupid. Just from a strict micro sense, from a microeconomic sense, it's ridiculous. That, the redlining, the Blacks essentially being blacklisted from white neighborhoods, caused more urban segregation, right? So if you're not allowed into quote-unquote white neighborhoods, then you by definition are going to create your own Black neighborhood. But purchasing homes there, in my opinion, I don't understand then why the Black neighborhoods then didn't continue to prosper as more and more quote-unquote redlined Black families purchased homes, but yet continued the same behaviors. That's just an opinion. Black schools remained segregated until 1954. And again, an assumption that I'm going to make is that the neighborhoods around such segregated schools were those Black neighborhoods, and the quote-unquote white schools were the white neighborhoods where Black families were basically redlined from it. You had Brown versus Board, if you remember that, in 1954. That's where the Supreme Court struck down segregation. Let's roll into the 70s to the 90s. It's called the deindustrialization. 60s and 70s, factories closed. We had a lot of automation coming in play, industries being shipped all over the world, but factories closed, resulting in a decline of manufacturing and industrial activity. Steel mills. I'd love to see that shit come back even today, but steel mills shut down. You know what's going up in Detroit and various other large cities that are driven a lot off of the steel mill industry. They shut down manufacturing, moved overseas, as I stated. So that created a hard time for Black Americans. They lost paid, stable wages, stable marriages, and family. We all know when you run across hard fucking economic times, it puts a stress on the relationship. Relationships are a lot easier to rock, or a lot easier to roll when money's coming in. But if one were to lose his job, then we know the stress on the American family creates issues. So the 60s and 70s, to me, and the breakdown of the American Black family during this period was not racially motivated or driven. It's the deindustrialization, which means a lot of jobs are just simply fucking lost. And how do you rebound from that? How do you recover from that? That obviously did not go well. Because, again, you lose the job, you lose the family, you lose the confidence, you lose the structure, you lose the credit, you lose the money. And it was really difficult to predict and obviously difficult to overcome. But the thing about the deindustrialization, it impacted whites equally. It impacted all laborers, if you will, throughout the United States. 71, 70s were hell. The war on drugs came about. So theoretically, money makes the world go round. That isn't a fucking theory. That's reality. But if you don't have a job, deindustrialization comes into play. You lose your job. The jobs simply aren't there, as stated in the 60s and 70s. How are you going to make money? We got to sling some fucking drugs. And the war on drugs hit this country significantly, respectfully, and more importantly, into the urban neighborhoods, the urban cities. More blacks engaged in the use and distribution of drugs. That's a fact. Nonviolent drug offenses led to prison terms. So when you lose the positions, you turn to drugs to make an income. You make an income, you get busted. And quite honestly, some of the prison sentences were far more extensive. And then they had a three strikes law. You could fucking sell marijuana, a tiny bag of marijuana 3 times and have harsh sentencing based on the 3 strikes law. By 1990, imprisonment rates for black men multiplied tenfold. Okay, we're talking 20 years. Imprisonment rates multiplied tenfold for black men. And that really is what has created, in my opinion, a driving factor of the fatherless home from 40 to 60, the deindustrialization, and then the 70s, a war on drugs. Because again, it's driven off of survival. And I really empathize with someone trying to make a living and not knowing exactly how to go about finding a job that's not there, or maybe creating an opportunity, whether it be business and entrepreneurship or whatever. I think that's where the fallacy comes into play, that is really where everything got fucked up. That's then. I think we have solutions to that now. But fathers, husbands, and sons, they were removed from the home, leaving single moms, raising children. And we all, I think, can agree, we understand where that went. But the crack epidemic pushed more heartily than cocaine. Crack was an unbelievably detrimental tool, for lack of better terms, or opportunity to make money for the black culture. It put a lot of men in prison, lengthy prison sentences, took the men away from the homes, took the discipline, the structure, and the things that we referenced that was built up from the 40s and the 60s. All right. This is the one area that I think most people that work and have worked for a very long time have a significant problem with, and that is welfare as a whole. And from the 60s to the 90s to now, that includes SNAP, Medicaid, Medicare, AFDC, which is Aid to Families with Dependent Children, which all started with the early welfare system. Now, in theory, the early welfare system was designed to give those that are struggling a leg up. There's no doubt about it. From where it started, and the idea and vision with welfare has some merit, but as a whole, it was never meant to be a fucking lifestyle. And that is what has happened with all these issues now with the welfare system, that it has become a lifestyle for families, and that is horrendous and is doing nothing, in my opinion, but keeping the black Americans from succeeding by allowing that crutch and allowing survival, and sometimes not a horrendous life, by utilizing welfare. But let's hit exactly what does welfare mean, because this was learning opportunity for me. The early welfare system, AFDC, Aid to Families with Dependent Children. Keep in mind, AFDC, Aid to Families with Dependent children. It's not designed for the 21-year-old kid that does not have children. It's designed for the family or a single parent with dependent children for what? To assist those while the children are growing and maybe get off of their asses and assist them with a profession, a career, schooling, education, whatever the case may be. But early welfare system was replaced in 1996 with TANF. TANF, temporary assistance to needy family. Again, temporary. Or aid to families with dependent children, temporary. Understand it's not a fucking lifestyle. LBJ's Great Society, right, expands AFDC in 1965. This is our boy LBJ. He expands AFDC, food stamps, Medicaid, and public housing. Basically, anything you need, we got you. You need a little help, we got you. Court cases and federal pressures force states to stop blocking black claimants. Listen to that again. Court cases and federal pressure force states to stop blocking black claimants, meaning, fuck it, the door's wide open. Fill out an application, we got you. Fill out an application, we got you. Not an application for a job, application for assistance. Again, temporary assistance to needy family, TANF, temporary. But instead, fill out an application, we got you, the money and checks in the fucking mail. So it's become widely more available to never married mothers. Another thing that's unbelievable, it used to be widowed mothers, right? So if you were a widowed mother, you got assistance back in the day. Now it's simply unmarried. So what does that tell a loving couple who may be struggling and just needs a little of assistance? Honey, we can't get fucking married. Or if we do, we can't turn it in. So let's stay single. Let's stay single. Oh, if let's stay single, then maybe I can go fuck around. I can go fuck around having another baby mama. Because we can't get married. If we get married, our benefits are cut off. And fuck, I don't want to get a job. So that's a problem. Used to be widowed mothers. Now it's never married mothers. So anyone with children, but again, it's still considered quote unquote what? Temporary. When LBJ launched the war on poverty in the 60s, his stated goal was not to create permanent welfare dependence. Guess fucking what, LBJ? His stated goal was to not create permanent welfare dependence. Well, that's exactly what you got. Here in 2026, that's exactly what the fuck we got. We got plenty of welfare dependence, and it's, strange enough, a lifestyle option for those as they progress through this wonderful thing called life. But his vision is in speeches and legislation where these governments would exactly this. Help people during short-term hardship. Okay, this is LBJ, right? He was wrong, and he failed, or his predecessors fucking failed because they didn't really honor his vision. But his programs were to help people during short-term hardship, provide education, training, and employment paths. Give me a fucking break. Provide education, training, and employment paths. I'd like to see a stat on how many people collecting welfare are engaging in either of those three. Lastly, phase out as people become self-sufficient. Again, I'd like to see that stat as well, and maybe I'll look that shit up later. How many people get off of welfare? It's got to be, I'm guessing, less than 20%. Some people actually utilize for what LBJ wanted, but most of them, again, it's a lifestyle. Programs created or expanded during this era, food stamps, Medicaid, and the expansion of AFDC were transitional safety nets. Again, transitional, temporary, phase out, self-sufficient. Shit's just not going down the way he had planned. And his vision, I think, is honorable, but the implementation of his vision fucking sucked. He wanted to provide more benefits to single mothers. I'm okay there, as long as it's temporary. Pushing them to be self-sufficient, make sure they get their education or looking for employment. Reduced or cut benefits if a man lived in the home. That is fucking unbelievable. Reduced or cut benefits if a man lived in a home. What better detractor from the foundation of the American family than take money and food out of a child's mouth if the man is there in the home? Doesn't have to be married. He just has to claim residence in the home. So this is forcing the single American mom, black American mom with children. And what that does, allow, while the cat's away, the mice is playing. Those men are out there getting plenty of fucking baby mamas because no baby mama want baby daddy at home. So baby mama, it's just fucking crazy, man. What it's done, as we all know, is created economic disincentives for marriage for poor families of all races. Yeah, of all races, for sure. It is applicable in white Americans, but the stats show it's heavily heavily dominated in regards to allocation of funds into the black American families. Homes in black neighborhoods lost value, rightfully so. People in black neighborhoods, I hate saying it, if you walk through a black neighborhood, even if you're renting, if it's a Section 8 or whatever, they just don't take care of the properties. And I've never understood, and I've rented some shitholes in my life when I was poor and broke as fuck, but my house was always clean. My yard was as nice as I could possibly do with it. And it was noticeable that I respected the home and the residence for which I laid my head every night. But if you go through the majority of black neighborhoods in any city, you will find a complete disrespect and disregard to the property that in all reality they don't own. And again, you don't have to own to take care of the property. And there are plenty of opportunities that if you take care of a property that's owned by someone else, and they see that over a period of years. I just had a situation before I bought my house now. I was recently divorced, didn't have any money, was renting a cute little home. I could have purchased that home from the buyer because they respected what I did and how I took care of his home. That shit could happen all day long, but yet they simply don't. Next, we're going to talk about SNAP, Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. Notice the fucking word nutrition. Nutrition assistance, not food assistance, not soda assistance, not fucking crappy food assistance, not shitty chip assistance. Nutrition should be limited. If the government's giving you money, they ought to be able to dictate what you're able to purchase. Lean meats, fruits and vegetables, things that are nutritional. Not the case. It strips recipients of drive and motivation. Damn right it does. If you don't have to work, who's hungry? I ain't hungry. I got fucking SNAP. I got an EBT card. I ain't hungry. The most motivational human being is someone that is fucking hungry. I've been hungry. SNAP, it's open to households who have a gross monthly income at or below 130% of the federal poverty level. Federal poverty level. That's POE. Yeah. That's poor. That's recorded income. Something that we need to also realize too is when we look at poverty level income, it's reported taxable income. And many people throughout this country receive non-taxable income. Go back to the drug epidemic. You don't pay taxes on crack cocaine, on marijuana, on various other illegal activities that are happening day to day, every day, every fucking hour. So how do you get by on getting SNAP but still being able to wear the newest Jordans and keep up with what everyone else is doing and having the nicest shit, whether it be a car, certainly not a home, real estate's a different acquisition, but you fucking just lie. You do everything off the books. You make sure you get your EBT card so you can only report so much income. None. But some of the requirements for SNAP, okay? 130% below poverty level. U.S. citizen or lawful resident. Thank fucking God, but that ain't happening either because I guarantee a lot of people who are not current U.S. citizens receive SNAP benefits. Fuck, we're seeing it up in Minnesota now with all these Somalian assholes. You got to be an able-bodied adult between 18 and 64 who do not have children under a certain age in the home and must meet stricter work and activity rules. You got to be between 18 and 64 years old. That's probably going to be spot on. There's probably not a lot of leeway with that. Most people that are abusing the system are probably within that age group. Quite honestly, anyone that's made it to 64 and older, I think help. If we can help you and you're not in jail, white, black, Hispanic, doesn't matter, then fucking A, man. I think we as a society owe the older generations, older populations, a little assistance. I'm okay with that one. Work, volunteer, job training, or education program at least 80 hours a month. 80 hours a fucking month. 20 hours a week. That's all we're asking. That's all we're fucking asking. Volunteer. Get a job. Be educated. Do something. All three of those aspects, that just work, volunteer, job training, is to fucking make you better. It's to help you grow. It's to help expand your ability to really service this economy, to service society, to add value to society. 80 hours a month. It's part-time. So you work part-time, you get SNAP benefits. Crazy. I think it ought to be fucking full-time. We all got 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, 40 hours a week that we can do something. Goes back to the elements we're talking about, getting convicts out of the prisons to go work. We all got shit we can be doing. The problem is those that are on SNAP, in my opinion, a lot of them don't have the drive, desire, inclination to go out and make themselves better because we as a whole don't offer that incentive because they're not fucking hungry. All right, adults already working 30 plus hours a week are usually exempt. Again, I think that one's bullshit. I'm going to be with you on that. If you're out there busting your ass and just not making good money, I think there ought to be a threshold of how much you make a week. And as you get closer to that threshold, maybe you're weaned off of SNAP because that takes away the incentive to work. But again, take away the incentive to work, you're creating a dependence on the government. Creating a dependence on the government, you can control them. Goes back to the first thing I said whenever I first recorded this is the more you depend on them, the more we fight, the more they control us. And this is all based on controlling, in my opinion, the population of this wonderful fucking country. Don't let them do it. We ought to be able to work more than 30 hours a week and still receive some benefits if the income for which we're receiving for such 30 hours is a really not a livable wage, because there's some fucking shit out there that's not livable. All right, next. Disabled, elderly, those caring for child or incapacitated person are unable to work. If required adult fails to meet the rules, SNAP benefits can be reduced or terminated. Makes sense. They're not. I don't even know what the rule, I mean, these are the rules, but I'm sure people break them all the fucking time. They're never terminated. I'd like to see or talk to someone whose EBT was terminated recently because they were out there hustling, trying to make themselves better. EBT card. EBT card. Electronic Benefit Transfer. In case you didn't know what that was. EBT. Electronic Benefit Transfer card. Meant to supplement a household food budget. The maximum depends on household size and income, right? More babies you got in the home, less income, higher EBT card. More babies, less income, EBT card. Fucking crazy. More money on EBT card. Background, this I think is bullshit. Criminal background, bullshit. No prior evictions, again, bullshit. Previous rental history, bullshit. So the rules state with SNAP, if you don't have a criminal background, you've had no prior evictions, and your previous rental history is solid, we'll give you an EBT card. Give me a fucking break. I'll be honest with you, I'd like to challenge myself maybe down the road to see someone's on EBT card and see if any of these things don't exist. Might be an asshole statement, but it is what I think, unfortunately. SNAP rules. What can SNAP, I've always wondered, right? What can SNAP be used to purchase? You know, you hear these things, alcohol, tobacco, cocaine, shit like that. The official rules, here they go. SNAP cannot be used to purchase hot or prepared food. No restaurant meals, except in a few states with special elderly disabled waivers. No restaurant meals. Okay, so you can't go in a restaurant, use your EBT card. Probably ways around that. No hot deli food. No hot rotisserie chicken. So you mean to tell me you go into Harris Teeter, they've got a rotisserie, and you throw it in there, you're going to take it home to eat, your EBT card and say, you know what, that purchase is declined. I call bullshit. Alcohol, tobacco is a no-no, but how do you get away with that? Okay, maybe you sell your EBT card for cash. So you can buy alcohol and tobacco. It's done, left and right. How do you eliminate it? Don't know. How about not giving them the fucking EBT card if that's what they're doing? Beer, wine, liquor, no. Cigarettes, cigars, vape products, no. Non-food items, okay? Even if sold at a grocery store, you're not supposed to use cleaning supplies, paper towels, toilet paper, pet food, hygiene items, soap, shampoo, deodorant, vitamins or supplements, anything with a supplement facts label. Again, I really find it hard to believe that you wouldn't be able to purchase a bottle of Clorox to clean your bathroom. Oh, hell, it'll be real. Let's go back to the other thing I said. You fucking ain't cleaning it. So obviously that makes sense now. Sorry, that's shitty to say, but it is what it is. Medicine or health products, prescription drugs, over-the-counter medicine, dietary supplements. Yeah. You ain't taking dietary supplements unless it's called a fucking Dorito. Live animals, exception fish from a store tank intended to be eaten. So you can buy live fish that you're going to eat. Okay, I'm down with that. Gift baskets. if more than 50% of the value is non-food, toys, mugs, decoration. Gift basket, half of it's food, half of it's not. Again, there are ways around all this shit. All this shit. You got to do question the validity, too, of some of these smaller stores. How are they identifying these items? How are they categorizing these items? Can you go in and maybe, a particular type of beer they have listed as carrots or some kind of bullshit edible? Got to happen. SNAP does allow the purchase of food intended for home preparation, meat, poultry, seafood, dairy, bread, cereal, pasta, fresh, frozen, canned fruits and vegetables, essentially anything that you are going to have to put your energy into making, right? You don't get to pick it up, go home, sit on the couch, pop in a movie, and eat it. You're literally going to have to spend some time and energy and effort to make and prepare the food for your family, which, in theory, I kind of dig that. At least you have to put some work into it. If you're not working, you're working less than 20 hours a week, dad's not at home, plenty of kids running around, at least SNAP's saying, fuck, you got to do something for me. How about throwing that food in the oven? How about cooking it up? How about spending some energy? Maybe Google a fucking recipe. Be creative. Learn to cook. So kudos for you, SNAP. I'll give you that one. You're allowed to buy snacks and soft drinks. I think that's fucking great. I mean, all the obesity throughout this country, snacks and soft drinks, yeah, candy and ice cream, absolutely. Non-alcoholic beverages, great. Sodas, perfect. Juices, perfect. Kool-Aid, perfect. Seeds and plants. I dig that one. If intended to grow food for home consumption. Okay. So of this thing, food intended for home preparation, I dig it. Seeds and plants, I dig it. Because why? Because both of them require effort. It requires you getting off of your ass and going out and making something. You can make yourself better by learning a new recipe for your family. Make something better about learning how to eat more healthy for your family. And then you buy the ingredients, which I don't think anybody would complain about. But instead, the SNAP cards are being used, because I've witnessed it, for shit. For garbage-ass food. Non-nutritional. Remember, the N in SNAP is for nutritional. Non-nutritional fucking shit. And then the requirements to qualify for SNAP are almost offensive, because what's happening is the abuse of the system, the gross neglect of the auditing of the system, meaning you can get away with fucking anything and just do your thing. And then we all know that these SNAP products are being sold. EBT cards are being sold and everything else. It's kind of a black market. You can probably go on the dark web and buy a $50 EBT card for fucking $10. I'm guessing. I don't know. Maybe I ought to test that out. Anyhow, SNAP is bullshit. It needs to come to an end. People need to be hungry in order to wake up and make themselves better. And if they choose a criminal activity like they did back in the fucking 60s, then so be it. Then we can go from the criminal activity, making a dumb fucking decision that you knew better when jobs were available, and then we can go back and, instead of serving time in prison, we can in turn buy your labor. Public and private industries can buy the labor, so it benefits the state. It benefits the public and private industry. Unfortunately, you're having to work your fucking ass off for a dumb mistake that you made when you had plenty of fucking opportunity to do the right thing. And it's not predominantly black here. We're talking black, white, Hispanic, all these assholes that are abusing the system. Obviously, SNAP rubs me the wrong way, because I've worked my ass off contributing tremendous amounts of money, as have all my friends, and we're seeing it go to people that simply just don't deserve it. We are no longer in the business of keeping you fuckers fed.
Just bold conversation, that's honky talk.